Hey, it's Dan Rogers from Guaranteed Rate, and I'm joined today by Christina Barbaro from Keller Williams. So happy to have her here with us today. We're going to do another version here of the Hey Dan series, so I know you have a good question for me.
Yeah, Dan. So we are in the third week of January, and I have already seen that it's going to be a wild winter and spring market.
Yes.
I already know it's coming down the pipe. I've had some wild experiences in the last 3 weeks with multiple offer situations for multiple different clients. So what do you feel would be a good competitive advantage in this market?
Well, that's a great question, and certainly one that there's no one size fits all, right? I mean, and yes, we are really busy, right? Lots of pre-approvals, lots of first-time buyers. There's a lot of activity, but there's not a lot of inventory, right? Mm-hmm. So, to make your buyer's offer stand out, I have a couple thoughts or ideas. First one being a real simple one: more earnest money. Sellers like to have a little more skin in the game, so I think more earnest money is certainly one that can make the contract stand out a little bit above the one that just has $1,000, which is fairly typical down here, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. The other one I think is, a fully underwritten approval. These days, I would think that a lot of lenders are doing it, but more are not, right? They're taking an online application, looking at a customer's info, but not actually reviewing W-2s, pay stubs, and then having an underwriter actually review them and actually issue a full approval. So that would be another piece. And you had made mention about a competitor, and you've got to read through it because...
Yeah, you absolutely have to read through it. Yeah. And even if it says it on paper, just do your own due diligence and pick up the phone and make the phone call. Hey, I just want to make sure. Yeah. So I'm protecting my clients and doing what I say I'm going to do, and make sure that they have in fact reviewed credit, have hard paper copies of pay stubs in their hands, things like that. And all I's are dotted and T's are crossed before we really jump into a contract with somebody.
It's a great point. And another tip, if the lender doesn't answer the phone and doesn't get back to you, that's probably a good way. They're not going to communicate with you during the deal, but you call us, we're going to answer the phone. I can promise you that.
That is exactly right. Communication is number one.
Exactly. Then, if you have fully underwritten approvals, that gives the buyer the ability to close fast. Now, we realize that sellers don't have the moving truck sitting in the driveway ready to go in 2 weeks in most cases, but having an offer that has a shorter closing time in it because it's a fully underwritten approval, I think would give a buyer an advantage also, right?
That's awesome.
I have one other one that I think is, kind of borderline on the comfort level of the customer with the specific home they're making an offer on, and that would be no inspection, right? I think for a lot of sellers, getting through that home inspection is a big concern, and what are they going to ask for? Even though it may be even an as-is contract, right? With a home inspection, there's concern. There's definitely issues that could come up, and that seller could have their home off the market for weeks, correct?
Yep.
And then ultimately the buyer decides they're not going to move forward. So have you experienced that at all?
I have, and it's not necessarily something I, outwardly recommend because you want to remain protected,
Correct.
But there's also ways that maybe you can get around it. There are some inspectors out there that are willing to come through with you during the showing of the house for a half hour for a little bit lower of a cost, just a quick, can you spot check these items of possible concern off the bat before you're putting your offer in? And, that might have you a little bit more, sound decision on that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, for sure, right? Because you basically want to make sure the major mechanicals are okay, right? Nobody wants to go in and replace a furnace, put a new roof on, or have to fix something structurally. So, if you can check some of those boxes, I think then you're going to have a little more comfort level writing the offer without the inspection.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I have a question on the fully underwritten pre-approval.
Okay.
What are there extra steps that a buyer needs to take to get that? What does that look like?
So basically, almost all applications these days are done online, right? Make it easy for the customer. They fill out a bunch of information. But if we were just to take that information they fill in, everybody's lists that they're working 40 hours a week and they have all this money in the bank. That's great. That's all listed and shown, but it's not actually validated until they give you W-2s, pay stubs, bank statements, right? That's all it is. So, whether they upload them to a portal, whether they fax them to you, whether they email them to you, whether they come into your office and we copy them, it's the validation piece that the numbers match up on the W-2s and the pay stubs and that the assets are really there, right? That, we're not waiting for our tax return in 6 more paychecks and then we'll have enough money. So a fully underwritten approval is we literally take that information, send it to our underwriter. Within 24 hours, we have that fully underwritten.
Okay, so a 24-hour turnaround, which could then possibly allow you to close in 2-ish weeks.
Absolutely. I mean, basically, in some cases, if they have a good down payment, good credit scores, we may not even need an appraisal, but most do, and they are typically taking about a week to complete.
Okay. I mean, that's a huge competitive advantage, especially if that seller needs to be up and out for whatever reason. People move for a multitude of reasons.
That's right. That's right. Well, I know it's going to be a great year, right? And, by the way, I think we touched on this. If you're interested in selling your home, now is the time.
Yes.
There are a pool of buyers just sitting here waiting for the next listing to come on the market and jumping on them. That's why we're already having multiple offer situations on the right home. So you want to list?
Here we are.
Gotta
We're ready.
do it. We're ready
and we have the buyers too.
That's right. So thank you for joining me. This was
thanks.
fantastic.
This was great. It was
And
great
I
chat.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you. So if we need anything in the future,
Yeah, reach out.
Dan's ready.
Yeah.
We're all
Christina's
ready for
too.
you.
So have a great day, everyone. Thank you again.